So, Aries, for you, the year card for love is the Strength card. And for some of you, that might represent a Leo in your life. It could be their sun, their moon, or their rising sign. But if not, it's your own strength. And this is a year where you're looking at the strength of your bonds, your alliances, the strength of your relationship, the strength of character. And when you look at this card, the person is, standing upright. The lion is looking at the figure with a lot of love and respect. And, the story behind this painting is that the lion, of course, is fierce and could have eaten her, but seeing her purity, her innocence, this lion is moved. And so she has commanded this lion's respect. And he has vowed to be her constant companion in order to protect her. And so that may be a theme in your relationship, either a role that you're playing for someone or vice versa. So, there is someone who is upholding themselves with great nobility or dignity in order to protect. And she has such a command over this lion's presence that even the lamb, who is innocent and would normally be prey, is safe. And so this may be a year where it's very safe for you to be vulnerable. Maybe you're protecting the innocent, or maybe, you're receiving some form of protection. And the Strength card represents all that is beautiful about love and romance, the attraction of it, the happiness of love, the playful interaction, extravagant gestures and overtures, flirtation. It's also about some measure of risk too. So some of you, you may meet someone on a vacation, or maybe you're going to take a vacation. It could be a very romantic year for you this year. But you're also looking at your fears. If you're single, maybe it's your fears about getting involved, something that has held you back. Or maybe if you're in a relationship, it's your fear of that, of fully committing. Or perhaps you compromise yourself in ways where you feel that, if you don't do certain things, you won't be appreciated, you won't be loved, you won't be recognized. There may be a fear of being alone. But this is a year to really, pull on your inner strength, the fortitude to follow a path with conviction, one that you believe in. And you can't allow self-doubt to interfere with your happiness. Now, this is also about self-confidence and sometimes knowing when to take a break, take a rest so that you can recharge. It can be a year where it's just stepping back, especially if others are maybe holding you to a standard that's not fair. You've given your very best and they want more. They're trying to make you feel guilty about it. But again, this is a year of putting your ego in check, allowing coming to terms with your instincts, the shadow part of yourself, your sexuality, and making peace with that. Making peace with who you are, so that you can be in command of, your interaction and how you relate in the relationship. So the Strength card really encourages you to stay the course, unless it's the wrong path and you're letting fear and doubt get in the way of you making an important decision. Some of you may have questions. Maybe you want to purchase a home and you're not sure if this is the right house or this is the right setup or this is the ideal family situation or this is the right person to have a family with or this is the right time to purchase a home. So you may be looking at a number of situations, and it's important that you take a closer look. But you do also need to be careful that you don't look so much or focus so much in a particular area that you allow other things to get away from you or fall through the cracks, or you don't pay attention and things that are important that need to be addressed. Your communication in a relationship may be filtered through the lens of strong memories you have. I don't know if perhaps there's been some kind of loss, the loss of a child, of a parent, of a possession, but there is some measure of secrecy. Perhaps you or this other person are not always completely forthcoming. And there could be a lot of emotional or psychological issues that are not resolved, maybe old traumas or past conditioning, the way that you grew up, your family background, the cultural history. And so there's something within your rapport with this person that is a bit unsettling. Maybe you have some anxiety about it. And the message is to really get to the bottom of situations because there's some measure of secrecy here, either concerning family or property, or again, maybe there's some emotions and anxiety tied to starting a family or moving in together. But your ancestry or those who came before you make a strong impact on you and how you relate. Could have been your mother is a strong influence, and somehow that has bearing on the way you communicate with a partner. And a lot of your communication may center around financial worries or, depression or emotional changes, moods. And so it's a year to really get in touch with yourself, to not so much project onto your partner, but to deal with your own issues in a very in-depth, honest way, to see yourself with the reality and to view your partner. So something about your communication or your rapport with this person really requires vigilance to get to the truth. Either of you may be withholding some kind of important information. There may even be some form of deception, but there's certainly a measure of self-sabotage in the way that perhaps you relate to this person. Now, as far as love and affection, there is this feeling that matters are in limbo. Maybe, you're waiting to decide if this is actually the one. Or maybe you're waiting for some kind of material growth that would solidify your relationship. But it seems like your alliance is sort of in neutral, that some kind of delay is blocking your plans for the future. And so you may need to take a fresh approach to solving any problems. Maybe you're ready to move your romantic phase to the next level in this relationship. Maybe you want a deeper commitment. Or maybe you will sacrifice everything for love. But it can be a year where you feel a little bit suspended, restricted. Maybe you don't have a sense of direction. The old way of relating just doesn't work anymore, and you have to come up with a new vision for the future of your union. And so, the holding pattern, maybe it's just temporary. So you might have to let go of some things in order to open your heart to something bigger. So maybe this is some kind of entanglement where you feel like there's not an escape. Maybe you feel trapped, or you're waiting for somebody, your partner, to come to your rescue. So if something has ended, or an aspect of your relationship, you have to let it go and move on from there. This is also, a situation where you're still dealing with projection and, creating a reality that may not be so. So some of you might be just taken in by appearances, but you really have to look beneath the surface to come up with answers. And that might mean doing the unexpected, changing course, doing something that you wouldn't normally do. Now, even your sexual chemistry and physical attraction seems to have some kind of problematic situation. You want to manifest something, and maybe you're conflicted between what is familiar, what is safe, and what really drives your passion. And there has been some measure of perhaps one-upmanship that affects your physical connection. Maybe, one of you is very detached, or you don't want to listen, but there's a part of you that wants to reconcile, to make peace, to heal these wounds. Maybe that might even require, some couples therapy. So for some of you, there is a serious problem in your relationship. Maybe you feel angry or humiliated because your partner is domineering or unfaithful, or vice versa. And so you're not able to communicate how you feel or what your desires are. So again, you may need assistance from a counselor or a therapist. But for some of you, the relationship has already failed. And so if that's the case, you may be moving into a legal situation. And there's this continuous theme of some form of deception or not being completely honest, whether that's you even not being honest with yourself, pulling the wool over your own eyes. And there's a continued message to seek your own answers instead of getting sucked into something that you later regret. Somebody that's promising you the sun, the moon, the stars, and yada, yada, yada. And you really also have to be careful about trying to counter negative behavior with your own negative behavior. And maybe you need to face certain truths and just withdraw from the situation. Because even when you win, or you think you have, it probably won't be the outcome that you want. So in some cases, some of you are narrowly getting out of something. You're breaking some bonds, or you're lifting some restrictions, and maybe you're making peace with yourself about that. And so despite obstacles that you may face, if you confront those honestly without resorting to deception, it's possible that you can make peace. As far as shared values, you both may really rely on intuition and communication, although those are areas that are problematic. Both of you may have a clue that there's been some infidelity or unfaithfulness, or there's some anger, and you may be learning how to better communicate in order to get past negative situations. Maybe you're in a decision phase where you're deciding if this relationship should move forward, or, trusting your instincts, trusting your guts about what's possible, whether there's too much self-interest in a relationship where there's personal gain for only one side. And the area of conflict might be family, that either wanting to have a family, the interference of family, family background, family history, and again, trusting your intuition, maybe even being guided by your own ancestors or family members who have passed to navigate certain situations. There's an awareness that you need to carefully observe whether your partner actually does what they say they will do, whether they follow through, whether they align with your values, whether they walk their talk. And you have to, rather than rely on just what they say, you may have to clue into other things. Again, you have to be vigilant. You're waiting for a situation that feels like it's going nowhere. You've been frustrated and probably beating your head against the wall, trying to either start this relationship or put it to rest. And you may be looking at different aspects, unfinished business, things that haven't been taken care of that affect family or your domestic situation. And sometimes, in the examination, there may be some confrontation. And if there is, there are also lessons of humility about trying to overpower the other person with your intellectual prowess, dominance, your moral superiority. Because when that happens, one of you will discover maybe you don't know what you think you know. That's why it's important to really look closely at situations and trust your intuition and the wisdom that you've gained over life experiences. And that may really come into play, your age, your experience, your wisdom about certain things. And maybe ultimately you may be guided to be alone, to walk your own path. Or maybe you feel like you're in a relationship where you're just really biding your time. Some of you, there are some real concerns about health or losing someone because of a health issue. Maybe you're facing some kind of crisis or stressful situation where you've lost something or someone is very ill. It doesn't appear that there's an answer. And there may be anger about having to make certain sacrifices, having ongoing financial worries, not being able to find answers, or someone being deceptive or taking advantage. So it's a year where there's a lot to be discovered, and the difficulty can be in communication, not being truthful or, waiting too long for something, or, unable to change the approach or the perspective about something. Here's your sneak peek for the year in love.